Hello everybody and welcome back to Typical City. Manchester City 2, Nottingham Forest 0. Another game of two halves, except this time it wasn't two halves, one being not so much filled of quality and the other half being full of quality, requiring a comeback like against Red Star and West Ham, for example. This time the two halves told a story of one being very potent and extreme quality, high standards of football in the attacking sense, and then thanks to Rodri's red card in the second half, a completely different type of performance in the defensive mindset was so solid and strong, reassured, and resilience was there for all to see. Fantastic from both ends of the pitch really, and I'm really pleased with the Manchester City performance. And let's get into the player ratings. Ederson, very little to do, to be honest, throughout the game, but those last two saves in the final few minutes of the game are what it's all about, being a goalkeeper. That's exactly what you expect from your goalkeeper. You might have nothing to do for the whole game, yet here you are being called upon in the 94th minute of the game, and you switched on. You haven't switched off. Because you're 94th minute into the game, you have very little to do, but you keep that concentration level maximum. Keep the concentration high, and he's there, and he delivers. An amazing shot from Alanga it was, who drills it into that bottom left-hand corner, heading for the corner. Ederson down low, gets a save on it. Back on his feet, Forest take the corner really quickly. It ends up landing to Willy Bolly on the edge of the area, who drills it, and Ederson, not only does he save it, he keeps hold of it as well. Vital bit of goalkeeping, and he deserves all the pats on the back that he got from Ruben Diaz and Akanji, who were quick over to Ederson to give him a pat on the back. Fully deserved. 90 minutes for Ederson, 45 touches, 65.7%. Passing accuracy is something I'd like to see improved. Normally a lot higher than that in truth, but no key passes, no tackles, no interceptions, but clearance and 3 saves, 2 big ones, 7.5 just for those 2 saves at the very end of the game. One thing I will say about Ederson is that he didn't need to get into the face of a Jonny. That moment in the second half after Rodri's been sent off, putting your forehead on another Forest player. Thank God a Jonny doesn't go down, because if you're a Jonny, you'd be more intelligent than that. You drop, don't you? You fall. You might not like that's the nature of the game. You might not like to hear it, but that's exactly what you do in that situation. You feel Ederson's forehead, you drop, you get another City player red card. And Ederson should have seen what just happened to Rodri, learned from those mistakes and said, I'm not going to make those same mistakes. Yet there he is, planting his forehead on a Jonny, and thankfully a Jonny gives him one back and they just square up to each other. Nothing came of it, thankfully. Just a little moment of stupidity that from Ederson, but other than that I thought it was brilliant, really good. Now on to Kyle Walker, who again, he's just finding his feet this year, isn't he? He's gone to another level I don't think many City fans were expecting from Kyle Walker. Going forward, much better than I've ever seen him ever play, to be honest, in a Manchester City shirt. Really good. He was called upon defensively in the second half. Probably very few opportunities for him to use his usual defensive style, which is speed, preventing counter-attacks, stopping players getting past him on the touchline. He did a couple of moments where Alanga and Hudson-Odoi, who came on as they're throwing the kitchen sink at us, trying to get a goal. He was solid. But that assist for Phil Foden's goal, absolutely sublime. That was part of I did say yesterday that I preferred the second goal because I saw the 10 seconds of the goal. But actually, the first goal was a 46 pass move before Phil Foden puts it into the back of the net. So you got to give that one as a favourite, considering I was going for the team goal of our second goal with Nunes' step over, Foden laying it, and Nunes dinking it back post to Haaland. Really, that first goal was incredible. Rodri's involvement as well was really good in that goal. But the Kyle Walker's touch was absolutely creme de la creme. It was so good. 90 minutes for Kyle Walker, 69 touches, 88.2% passing accuracy, a key pass, 2 tackles, 0 interceptions, 2 clearances, and no blocked shots. Nathan Ake came on for 34 minutes in the second half. That was for Alvarez, purely because of Rodri's stupidity. Unfortunate, but those 34 minutes were solid. Didn't have that much to do defensively, but again, once called upon, he answered the questions. 10 touches, 66.7% passing accuracy, needs to improve that. Could have had an assist. Should have had an assist, really. I have looked back at that Haaland miss in the second half, and I do think it was fired at him. I'm trying to make excuses for Haaland. He should be putting that into the back of the net, but if you actually look at it, I think he's already made his mind up that he was going with his right foot. Nathan Ake's cross was fired in at him at hip height. It was a really awkward height for Haaland to genuinely get anything on it and put it towards the goal. For me, he almost probably had time to take a touch. I don't think he realised how much space he had. Could he have brought that down and then tapped it in potentially? But Nathan Ake could have walked away with an assist. But again, there were a couple of times where Elanga was facing him up one-on-one in the full-back position and he was really good. One key pass, no tackles, a clearance, 2 aerial duels won. He's underrated in the air, isn't he? He's not that big a defender, but he gets up, doesn't he? He leaps like a fish out of water. And no block shots. Wasn't as impactful as the other defenders, had less time on the pitch, of course, but yeah, I've given him a 7. Ruben Diaz, second half, absolutely fantastic. He came into his own, and I think he switches on, doesn't he, when he realises, right, this is my moment now as the leader at the back. I've got to step up. We've lost a man, and now we need a defensive performance. We need some solidity and bringing that into the back line, dictating where everyone should be, shouting and screaming, pulling players into the right positions, blocking shots, doing everything. The full spectrum of a defender was delivered by Ruben Diaz yesterday in that second half. I thought he was brilliant. 90 minutes, 82 touches, 91.6% passing accuracy, a key pass, no tackles. But it didn't need to be. There was no tackle. There was very few tackles in the game, to be honest, because I think we just positioned ourselves so fantastically well. 1 interceptions, 5 clearances. That's the amount of crosses. They just resorted to lumping it into the box at the end. And that's Ruben Diaz's bread and butter. Bread and butter. Cleared it all day long. 5 clearances from those crosses and 1 block shot. You got to give him an 8 for that. Really good from Ruben Diaz. Akanji, same again, just less so, just a touch less than Ruben Diaz. I thought it was just almost a similar performance, stepping up when needed defensively. I just feel like the ball didn't drop his way from a defensive point of view. He wasn't called upon quite as much as Ruben Diaz was, but when he was, answered the questions. 90 minutes, 90 touches, 96.3% passing accuracy, and that's why you keep seeing him in a Pep Guardiola side. That passing accuracy is a pattern that's formed throughout the season now. Not Ruben Diaz, Manuel Akanji's passing accuracy has been consistent. High 90s throughout this season, Akanji, and that's why he keeps getting picked in a Pep Guardiola side, because he keeps the ball. He doesn't give it away. It might be simple, but that's all you need from Manuel Akanji. And he's been given a bit more freedom to even push forward into midfield this season. Obviously not yesterday, but prior games he's been given that license to do that, and that's probably why, because he keeps the ball. 0 key passes, no tackles, an interception, a clearance, and a block shot. 7.5, really good from Akanji. Gvardiol, I thought he was at the Ruben Diaz level. I think this was his best performance in a Manchester City shirt. Called upon defensively, really, really good. Solid from Josko Gvardiol. He hasn't really had a moment where he can show what he's all about, but yesterday, there was his moment. And he delivered. Really good from Gvardiol. The first time I've genuinely watched him and thought, this is why we've signed him, because we hasn't really been called upon so far in the season, but yesterday, really good. 90 touches, 90 minutes, 84.9 passing accuracy, 0 key passes, a tackle, 2 interceptions, 5 clearances, 1 block shot. So alongside Ruben Diaz, he's matching him, going toe-to-toe with Ruben Diaz for the same defensive stats, the same level of defensive know-how, yet 3 or 4 years younger than Ruben Diaz. And he's playing like a very mature centre-back at such a young age. Where's he going to go? Where's the ceiling for this guy? Because if he's doing this at this stage of his career, it's a mouth-watering prospect for Manchester City fans to see where this defender could end up. Just needs to bump up that passing accuracy a little bit, try and maintain the ball a little bit better. But other than that, spot on. 8 out of 10 I've given him. Rodri. What have you done, mate? What have you done? What the fuck have you done to us, mate? You've ballsed it up for us. Everyone's looking at that Arsenal game. Arsenal fans are now just drooling, frothing and foaming at the mouth at the idea of facing Manchester City without Rodri. I mean, they need to be careful not to get too excited to think that the game's already done because Rodri's not playing. They probably thought the same with Kevin De Bruyne. But we've won all our games so far this season. We can't pretend it isn't a big loss. Rodri's first half performance was brilliant. It was so good again. And another worrying factor is we are going to miss him because of that. He was really good. In the defensive midfield role, he was just bossing that midfield. It's just devastating to come out and do that, to lose your head For anyone who's wondering about the player ratings, you do start with a 6, so you come onto the pitch with a 6 and your score can go up depending on your actions and go down depending on your actions, but you've got to massively harm his score because of the red card. It was a moment of madness. I don't care if Gibbs White goes down too easily. I was surprised at Pep highlighting that. Obviously, he's trying to defend Rodri and shift the attention and deflect away from Rodri's stupidity, and probably let's not talk about the Arsenal game. Let's put all the limelight on Gibbs White and call him a cheat, whatever it may be. I don't care about going down too easily. You would in that situation if you're a Premier League player and you feel someone's hands around your neck, you go down. Don't give the referee the opportunity to flash a red card. Don't give Gibbs White the opportunity to drop. I don't care if it was a moment of borderline cheating and play acting from Gibbs White. It's ingrained in the game now. It's going to take a long time to get rid of that type of behaviour. But what is easy to control is your own actions. You can't control Gibbs White's actions, but you, Rodri, can control your own actions and your own temperament. And he needed to show a little bit maturity in that moment. I don't know why. He went for the alpha male mode, didn't he? He's like, I'll show you. Because he got flattened by Gibbs White about 10 seconds before they came together again at the corner flag. He got flattened by Gibbs White, and I thought he took that as a bit of a dig on his ego. He got knocked down, gets back up, and he gives it him some back. He doesn't need to do it. Really stupid. But you can see his passing accuracy was there for all to see. 96.2% from midfield. Brilliant. That ball over the top to Kyle Walker. Fantastic. Such a good bit of play. That first half in total was just brilliant from Rodri. It's what you expect, but you come on and you do that, you destroy the momentum of Manchester City in the second half, and you've let your team down, really, at the end of the day. Going forward in the 3 games that we're going to lose you, and in that last 45 minutes, the rest of your teammate had to pick up the pieces and do the dirty work, thanks to one individual making that particular error. And he beat a player as well. So I have to give him a 5 because it's been too harsh on the rest of the team, really. But hopefully he comes back, lessons learnt after the Arsenal game, and damage is hopefully kept to a minimum. Phil Foden, man of the match performance for me, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And it hasn't been a long time coming because I think the last time he played this well was against Newcastle. I thought he was really good against Newcastle, but yesterday he was absolutely fantastic. So it's dictating a lot of that right inside channel play, all coming through him. Got his goal, of course, which he took really, really well. It was beautiful. He glided it with power. The technique was such a sumptuous technique just to drill it into that bottom right-hand corner past Turner. No chance for Turner, thanks to Kyle Walker's cushioned pass. I thought he was brilliant, Phil Foden. 66 touches, 96.1% passing accuracy. He did come off in the final few minutes of the game. He only got 86 minutes, but a key pass, a tackle. So he stepped up both ends of the game is why I've given him a 9. Because he was called upon in midfield to do the dirty work because of Rodri's absence. And another player that had to step up to the plate defensively. So you've seen both ends of the pitch from Phil Foden within that 86 minutes that he played, getting 2 tackles, 2 clearances, shot on target, the only one on target, the only shot that he took in the whole entire game ends up in the back of the net, which is fantastic. And he beats 3 players. One in particular, I remember just gliding past Willy Bolly on a counter-attack like he wasn't even there. This is the Phil Foden we need to see. I would just like to see a little bit more consistency from Phil Foden because the last 2 games, his form dipped a little bit. He certainly wasn't bad in the previous game against West Ham or against Red Star. He wasn't bad. But that Newcastle performance and yesterday's performance against Forest, we need to see more of that, more consistently. But yeah, man of the match performance, 9 for Phil Foden, brilliant. Mateus Nunes, he is rapidly becoming one of my favourite signings because he is, it's like Kovacic hasn't been away. Kovacic has stepped up and he looks like he's very much ingrained into the Manchester City way, a very Pep Guardiola type of midfielder, keeping the ball really well. I'm talking about Kovacic. And then Mateus Nunes comes on the pitch and it's a like for like, isn't it? It's exactly the same. A real tactician, a clever player. Dribbling ability is fantastic, although he did get no dribbles yesterday. But that's one area of his game that I think is shining brightly in a Manchester City shirt. 90 minutes played, 70 touches, 92.2% passing accuracy, a key pass, 2 tackles, 3 clearances and a block shot. Again, called upon defensively, answering the question. So this is fantastic to see. All our City players are doing the other. I say ugly, I prefer it. I'm a defender in my style of play. When I play football, I'm a defensive midfielder / defender. And I love that side of the game. Some people call it the ugly side of the game compared to Pep Guardiola's attacking style of football. Yes, it's not as pretty as that. But when called upon, All of our players are answering these questions defensively, and we're going to have moments like this in the season. Going up against Arsenal, they're going to have spells in the game where they dominate the ball. Champions League, latter stages, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, those types of teams, they're going to keep the ball for spells in the game, and we have to put in defensive performances like this. Fantastic from Mateus Nunes, so I've given him an 8. Haaland, he's getting a very divisive topic at the minute, isn't he? I thought he was decent. I got his goal, which I promised you his goal. I promised it you. He delivered it, and I'm pleased for him to get that goal. That chance, I made an excuse earlier in the video for him. I do think if you go and watch it back, it was fired into him, and I think he'd already made his mind up to go with his right foot. Yes, he could have done something differently. At the end of the day, he should be putting that in the back of the net, really. One way or another, he should be either taking a touch and burying it or adjusting his body better in that position. It was fired in at him, and I didn't really agree with Pep's decision to bring Alvarez off and leave Haaland on. I thought Alvarez would have suited this game, going in with 10 men, going for the long ball option maybe on the counter-attack. His passing accuracy has dipped back into his previous game, because last game he was in the 80s, and that's what we want to see from Erling Haaland. Against Red Star, his passing accuracy was 85%, if I remember rightly, in the 80s at least. This time he's dropped back into those 60s and even 50s in previous games, so he needs to improve that side of his game. But 64.3% passing accuracy, 0 passes, 2 shots, 1 on target, which was a goal, of course, and there's your long ball, which he was winning against a big Niakate, Willy Bolly, and they were a unit at the back going up against Erling Haaland, and he held his own, showed what he's all about, because he's a unit as well. 2 aerial duels, no dribbles, 7.5 for Erling Haaland. He puts that in the back of the net to make it 3-0, and you're looking at 8.5, really, aren't you? But that miss was a big miss, unfortunately, and we need to. You just hope these misses aren't as frequent anymore, because they are going to punish us one of these days. Hopefully, he can start finding the back of the net with a little bit more ease, and I have every faith that he will. You don't write off Erling Haaland, do you? So we'll see in the future games. Julian Alvarez, again, I said a bit harsh to bring him off, but he had to be someone had to be sacrificed. Pep chose Alvarez coming off. But in the first half, I thought he was lively. Again, really good. But it's just the fact that he's not been on the pitch long enough to have as much impact as he probably wanted. Did have his chance to make it 3-0 in the first half. I think it was a Niakate tackle with Doku bringing it in from the left channel. Cuts it inside to Alvarez. Nice touch, just a block shot. Good effort. Could have been 3-0. Could be talking about a much higher score for Julian Alvarez had that gone in. But again, he looks like he's found his feet already, and he's very comfortable in this number 10 role just behind Erling Haaland. I'm feeling quite confident now going into future games with the attacking prowess of both Erling Haaland and Alvarez. It's a scary proposition for the opposition to deal with, knowing that who do you pick? Because Alvarez is just occupying the pockets, and if the defender pushes forward and marks Alvarez, you're leaving Haaland one-on-one. And the pattern of defensive plays so far in our games has been double teaming Erling Haaland, which is freeing up Alvarez. So you pick your poison, defenders. You're going to go in for Alvarez or you're going to mark Haaland. If you split them up and go 1-for-1, man for man in that situation, then more often than not, you're going to come up unstuck, because Haaland will beat players one-on-one. You do need to sort of double team on him, because, I mean, even yesterday for his goal, that back post, I mean, where was the marking for Haaland's header? It was pretty atrocious from Forest, but you've got to put yourself in that position, Erling Haaland. He ghosted into that back post, so really good from him. Alvarez is finding a lot of joy thanks to Erling Haaland's work and just his past season's threats. Alvarez is now finding his feet because of that, but 85.7% passing accuracy with 33 touches to his name. 0 key passes, a tackle, 4 shots, 2 on target and a clearance. Good from Alvarez, so I've given him a 7.5. Jeremy Doku struggled to impact the game, had to be sacrificed alongside Alvarez a bit earlier. On comes, I think it was Nathan Ake who came on for Doku. 36 touches, 95.5% passing accuracy, which is really good. A key pass, a tackle. He's had a tackle every game so far that he's played. So he has got that other side to his game, which pleases me, knowing that he can be sturdy and stocky, but he had to be sacrificed for yesterday's game. He didn't have as much impact as he has done in previous games. 0 shots, 0 on target, of course, and 3 dribbles, of course, beating players. That's what he does. That's his bread and butter. But less impact compared to the rest of the players. So I've given him a 7. Calvin Phillips, we need you, mate. We need you. You're stepping up to the plate now. We absolutely need Calvin Phillips going forward. 39 minutes. I thought he was all right. He was dispossessed a couple of times, but he did it in there, like by the corner flag. That's when he was dispossessed. He was dribbling with it down and taking danger away from our goal and just getting it into the final third. And he just tried to hold the ball up in the final 10 minutes of the game. He did that twice. He was dispossessed in that corner flag, but he got us out of danger numerous times, and I thought he was solid. We need to see that passing accuracy sorted. I'm going to put that down. I'm making excuses for him here, but I do think he needs to find his feet a little bit. He will have come on with nerves, knowing, right, this is a genuine opportunity now. I could have 3 games where I could play here. And he probably showed a bit of nerves in his distribution there, because that 76.9% isn't good enough. We need a better stat than that from a midfielder in that role. If you look at Rodri and Kovacic and Nunes, for example, always in the 90s or high 80s at least. We need to get that up. 0 key passes, a tackle, an interception, 2 clearances, and 0 dribbles. He came on and did his job. There are elements of his game that need to improve. He only had 39 minutes to show what he can do going forward. In the future games by going forward, I mean. So I've given him a 7, but those defensive stats are what he came on the pitch for, to shut up shop and don't allow Forest to generate any momentum and get any genuine goal-scoring threats, and he did his job. Tackle, an interception and 2 clearances, so good, pleased, giving him a 7. Jack Grealish, last man to talk about, 4 minutes, 5 touches, 100% passing accuracy and 0s in the rest. He had little time to impact the game. He only came on for the final 4 minutes of the game. I've given him a 6, but the one thing I did want to say about Jack Grealish is he needs to come on with a cooler head than that. I know the game was fired up a little bit, but he was squaring up to 3 or 4 Forest players in that very short little cameo, that tiny time frame of what he was on the pitch for. He's squaring up to Forest players, got himself booked as well. You know, just keep a cool head, mate. That's what we need. We need composure. In 2-0 down with 10 men, final 5 minutes of the game, 10 minutes if you include stoppage time, we need a cool head coming onto the pitch. Not someone kicking off, firing up the Forest players and making life harder for us and getting yourself booked. His passing accuracy is good. Come on, and he did keep the ball whenever we had it. He didn't give it away once. 100% passing accuracy. So I think the yellow card knocks him down a little bit, but then his passing accuracy and his possession-based football knocks him back up to a 6, in truth. But I've kept him at a 6, which I think is fair for the small little window that he was on the pitch. But Blues, are you happy with the result? Are you happy with the performance? The fact that we've seen 2 different styles of Manchester City, again, similar to how we saw against Bayern Munich last season, where we really had to defend in certain moments of that 2-legged tie, and we answered the questions. Yeah, I know it's Forest, not quite the same questions being asked, because it's, you know, Alanga or versus Leroy Sané, for example, are very, very different threats. But we answered the questions, and with quite a bit of ease, in truth. We looked very comfortable, even with 10 men. Forest offered very little. They threw the kitchen sink at us, bringing Chris Wood on, Divock Origi, Alanga, Hudson-Odoi. They threw everyone at us, and we answered the questions, come away with a clean sheet. You can't ask for much more than that, and you can only really point the finger at Rodri as to why the game panned out like that. Blues, get your comments in below. I really want to hear them. Drop a like on the video. It really does help with the algorithm and all that nonsense. And I'll see you in the next one.
This is typical City now, holding up silver.